J-Dub is back at it here to give everyone another Breaking Bad Season 3 episode reaction video. But before I get into that, though, pretty important, if you're not caught up to the point where I am in rewatching or watching Breaking Bad, or you're just not entirely sure, then you should probably take the initiative and pay attention to the episode title, which, of course, I'll put in the description for you. If that's the case, you find out that you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this video any further, just to avoid any potential spoilers. This is going to be Breaking Bad Season 3, Episode number 8. Titled this episode is called I See You. Going to be my reaction review recap after just watching the episode. Jesse is leaving the hospital after Hank's vicious attack on him, and he actually sees Hank being admitted into critical condition with what appears to be 4 gunshot wounds. And Jesse smiles to himself as Skinny Pete picks him up, satisfied with this turn in karmatic justice that is being displayed here. Walt tells a confused and upset Gale that they're just not working well together, and he is being replaced. He says that he's more classical and Gale's more jazz. Not necessarily music, but that's where he put it. Like, you're just not classical, you're jazz, and I like classical. That's how he put it. Then Jesse shows up, much to Walt's dismay, and displays his unprofessional personality as he admires the lab, which confuses Gale even further, realizing that this is his replacement, this degenerate, so to speak. Nevertheless, Walt and Gale shake hands and part ways on relatively amicable terms, while Victor reminds him not to fall behind on their weekly quota of 200 pounds. Now, Jesse informs Walt about Hank's condition, and Walt immediately leaves for the hospital, and Walt catches up with his family while Steve Gomez and Merkett explain to him that 2 cartel hitmen, of course we know who those are, made an attempt on Hank's life. Steve Gomez expresses astonishment that Hank was able to take down both of the assassins without a gun, which unfortunately prompts Marie to question why Hank did not have his gun on him, and Merkett explains that Hank had to turn it in following his suspension due to his assault on Jesse. Marie lashes out at both of them, blaming them for leaving Hank defenseless and not backing him up when he needed them most. She also places blame on Walt, believing that Hank would have never crossed paths with Jesse Pinkman if Walt had never bought marijuana from him in the first place. Now, Liano, his legs now amputated, is being treated within the same hospital as Hank, which I find that shouldn't have been the case. Gomez and Walt go to view him from the other side of the door, and Liano recognizes Walt and angrily starts to crawl towards him before eventually being hoisted back to his bed by police. Walt is startled by this and realizes that he might have been their intended target all along, but for some reason they went after Hank. Now, Gus Fring receives a call from Juan. The attempted hit on the DE agent has now promoted the Mexican government to crack down on the cartel and for the border to be monitored with more scrutiny, forcing him to lie low in Mexico now. Now, Juan is, of course, suspicious that Gus was the one that orchestrated the hit, as Marco and Liano would not have acted on their own. He tells Gus he intends to get the truth from Liano as to who permitted them to this heinous act. Now, Walt spends the next few days at the hospital while Jesse remains at the lab, waiting for him to return so they can resume cooking to meet their quota, or to resume Walt teaching Jesse the new lab, because they didn't get started on anything. Walt eventually receives a call from Gus to check in on their progress. Not wanting to give away any information that might reveal that his brother-in-law is a DEA agent, Walt lies about why they are falling behind, I should say, saying that Gale has set them back significantly, and to make up for it, he promises to produce 400 pounds of meth next week, and then Gus actually agrees to that. And then Walt is actually horrified when Gus suddenly shows up at the hospital. He was warned a bit ahead of time, like a couple minutes before he showed up, bringing free food from Los Porros Hermanos as a show of support for the DEA. And Gus meets the rest of Walt's family and relates to the time when he first met Hank, revealing to Walt that Gus already knew that his brother-in-law was a DEA agent. Walt speaks privately with Gus, assuring him that Hank is not a problem for their business. As Gus leaves, Liano suddenly goes into cardiac arrest and dies. And off to the side, you see Mike Ehrmantraut is shown disposing of a syringe and leaving unnoticed. And then later that night, Gus receives another phone call from Juan, whose house is now surrounded by Mexican federales due to Gus tipping them off to his location. With Liano now dead, Juan is convinced that Gus is behind all of this and vows that the cartel will seek retaliation against him. Immediately after, the federales raid Juan's home, shoot him dead. Hearing the sounds of gunfire over the phone, Gus smiles to himself and then breaks his phone and disposes of it, and that is the end of the episode. So not as crazy as the last one, but pretty good episode. I really liked a lot of stuff that I saw here, just a little slow at times, but I'm still going to give this episode an 8.7 out of 10, and the character of this episode is going to be Gustavo Fring, Gus, whatever you want to call him, Mr. Fring. He was pretty awesome. He obviously orchestrated all this, and you don't want to mess with Gus Fring, so Gus is the character of the episode. You've heard what I have to say already. It is your turn. I want to hear your feedback. First of all, if you're a fan of Breaking Bad, which I know you are, make sure that you smash that like button. If there's anybody out there that you know that would be interested in listening to this and giving feedback, go ahead and share the video with them. If there's anything that you want to talk about Breaking Bad related, leave that in the comments section. The episode, the score of the episode, favorite episodes or favorite characters of Breaking Bad, whatever you want to talk about, comment section is where that belongs. You can even talk about El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. And of course, last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button, subscribe to this awesome channel, show your damn support, be a part of something special, and JDev will return.